I'm a type A personality, and so I perceived my workload to be important because I wanted to, one, prove myself, but also I didn't want to disappoint the company. And so that really drove me down the path that I took. I'd go home and my wrists were a little sore and I'd take a Tylenol. Or my shoulder was bothering me a little bit and I'd shrug it off and I'd say, that's not really a problem. I went from being able to hike and being able to drive anywhere I wanted to not being able to pick up a fork and knife, not being able to wash my own hair, not being able to do dishes, not being able to play music. It became blatantly obvious at a certain point that my daily work was causing the problems that I was encountering.
The company places a high value on ergonomic self-awareness and self-reporting. If someone feels like they have an ergonomic injury, the first thing they need to do is talk with their ergonomic contact or talk with their supervisor and put their hand up and say, I need some help. It's okay to have those conversations and being open to the input from the employee without making the employee feel like there's a stigma or their career is going to be impacted. That is key for the management.
Once I had self-identified and started to get some help, I didn't see a huge improvement in my symptoms, and it really wasn't until I started taking the ownership of my recovery that I saw significant improvements. Weightlifting really was that turning point for me, and I'd say it took 2 solid years of training 3 or 4 or 5 times a week to actually get to that stage where I was no longer having regular ergonomic symptoms. And it's gone far beyond just the recovery of strength training. I've gotten into weightlifting and I've competed in provincial level competitions. And it was also being aware of the feedback that my body was giving me. If I was on the computer for an extended period of time, it was making sure that I was getting up and taking a break. And then it's also at work, doing the stretches, doing things that get me out of that static, hunched position. And so it's the onus of the company to be providing that ergonomic equipment. But also, when an individual comes to them and is encountering pain, it's the responsibility of the supervisor to then say, okay, how do we manage your workload? How do we give you that time to heal, to figure out what we need to do so that you don't come to work every day in pain and you don't go home in pain?
We want to give you the tools to be able to do your jobs and make the choices that you need to make, but equally we rely on you to make those choices yourself. And to choose to use the tools, to choose to take the breaks, to choose to come to your management and say, I think we need to kind of rethink this. It needs to be a conversation and it needs to be a partnership.
If by hearing my story, somebody can see themselves, can see their own behaviors or maybe their own symptoms and self-identify as quickly as they can, that would be huge for me. I do not want anyone to go through this. And if I can stop someone before they get to the point that I was at, it would be all worth it.